Welcome to Strong Mind Stories, where we explore real human strength, the kind that comes from overcoming mental battles, life setbacks, and the challenges that try to break us. If that speaks to you, hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss a story. I actually read every comment, so drop your thoughts below, and if you have a story idea or a challenge you'd love to see explored, I want to hear it. Let's get into today's story. Lessons from my father. Trish Jones was 17 years old and she had 6 regular clients. 6 dogs that depended on her every week. 6 families that trusted her. She kept a notebook in her backpack with all the important information. Mrs. Rodriguez's pug, Benny, needed exactly 20 minutes and couldn't go too far because of his breathing. The Johnson's golden retriever, Daisy, needed 45 minutes and loved the park. Mr. Hassan's beagle, Scout, needed 30 minutes and would eat anything off the ground, so you had to watch him. And then there was Max. He was a German shepherd who belonged to the Kowalskis. He was big and strong and needed an hour walk every Tuesday and Thursday. Trish had been walking Max for 2 years, since she was 15. You have to be responsible, her father had told her when she first said she wanted to walk dogs for money. Dogs depend on you. Their families trust you. That's serious business. Trish took it seriously. She was always on time. She always brought water for the dogs. She always cleaned up after them with the bags she kept in her backpack. She had Down syndrome, and some people thought that meant she couldn't do things. But Trish knew different. Her dad had taught her that having Down syndrome just meant she had to work a little harder at some things and find her own way of doing others. Everyone has challenges, her dad would say. Yours are just more visible. But visible doesn't mean more difficult. It just means people notice. On Thursday afternoon, Trish walked to the Kowalski's house to get Max. Mrs. Kowalski met her at the door. "Hi, Trish. Max has been waiting for you all day. He knows it's Thursday." Max bounded to the door, his tail wagging so hard his whole back and moved. He was 3 years old, 70 pounds, and thought Trish was the best person in the world. Trish clipped the leash to his collar, the strong one, not the retractable kind, because her dad had taught her that strong dogs need strong leashes, and headed out. "Be back in an hour," Mrs. Kowalski called. Trish checked her watch. For 15 p.m. She'd be back by 5:15 p.m. That was the routine. They walked their usual route. Down Maple Street, left on Oak, through the neighborhood, past the elementary school. Max walked nicely on the leash. He'd been trained well, and Trish had learned how to handle him. Walk with confidence, her dad had taught her. Dogs can tell if you're nervous. Stand up straight. Hold the leash firm, but not tight. Show Max you're in charge. Trish did that. Max respected her. Even though he was bigger than her, even though he was strong, he listened. They were walking along Riverside Road, the street that curved along the creek, when Trish heard the car. It was going too fast. Way too fast. The speed limit was 25, but the car sounded like it was going much faster. Trish moved closer to the edge of the road, pulling Max with her. "Come here, Max, stay close." But the car came around the curve, and it was going so fast it couldn't stay in its lane. It swerved, tires squealing, coming right at them. Trish froze. For one terrible second, she couldn't move. Then Max did something he'd never done before. He lunged hard, pulling the leash with all his 70 pounds, yanking Trish off the road. They tumbled down the embankment together. Trish felt herself falling, rolling, the world spinning. Her backpack hit something hard. Her leg twisted. Max was barking. Then everything stopped. Trish lay at the bottom of the culvert, stunned. Above her, she could hear the car speeding away, not even stopping. She tried to move, and pain shot through her right leg. Sharp, terrible pain that made her gasp. Max was beside her, whimpering, licking her face. His leash was still wrapped around her hand. "It's okay, Max," Trish managed to say, even though her voice was shaky. "It's okay, boy." But it wasn't okay. Trish looked around. They were at the bottom of a steep embankment, maybe 30 feet down. The culvert had a small creek running through it, just a trickle of water. Above her was the road, but she couldn't see any cars now. She tried to stand up, and the pain in her leg was so bad she cried out. Something was very wrong with her leg. She looked down and saw her right ankle was swelling, turning purple. When she tried to put weight on it, the pain made her vision go black at the edges. "Okay," Trish said out loud, because talking helped her think. "Okay, I can't walk." Max whimpered again, pressing against her side. Trish reached for her backpack. It had fallen with her, but was still on her shoulders. Inside was her phone. Her dad had insisted she always carry a phone when she walked dogs. If something happens, he'd said, you call 911 first. Then you call me. That's the rule. Trish pulled out her phone. The screen was cracked, but it still turned on. She pressed 911. No signal. She tried again. Still no signal. Trish felt panic rising in her chest. She was hurt. She was at the bottom of a culvert. Her phone didn't work. It was getting later in the afternoon. The panic made it hard to breathe. Trish had learned about this from her therapist. When things got overwhelming, her brain would sometimes freeze up. Everything would feel too big, too scary, too much. When you feel panic, her therapist had taught her, you need to stop and breathe. Count to 5 breathing in. Count to 5 breathing out. Do it 3 times. It will help your brain calm down. Trish closed her eyes. Counted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathed in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathed out. Max pressed closer to her, his warm body against hers. She did it 3 times. The panic got smaller. Not gone, but smaller. Okay, Trish said. I need to think. Her dad had taught her about emergencies. About what to do when things went wrong. First, assess the situation, he told her during their family camping trip last summer. Figure out what's wrong. Then figure out what you can control. You can't control everything, Trish. But you can always control something. Trish assessed. Her leg was badly hurt. Probably broken. She couldn't walk on it. Her phone didn't work down here. She was at the bottom of a culvert where people driving by couldn't see her. What could she control? She could yell for help. But Riverside Road didn't get much traffic, especially on Thursday afternoons. And the road was up high. Would anyone hear her? She tried anyway. Help. Someone help. Max barked too, like he was trying to help. They waited. No one came. Trish looked around the culvert. The embankment was steep. Maybe if her leg wasn't hurt, she could climb it. But not now. But wait. The culvert had to lead somewhere. Culverts drained water. This one followed alongside Riverside Road. But eventually, it had to connect to something. Trish looked both directions. To her left, the culvert went under a bridge, and she couldn't see where it went. To her right, maybe 50 feet away, it looked like the culvert opened up. Maybe there was a drainage outlet. Maybe there were people. 50 feet. Trish couldn't walk, but maybe she could crawl. Think smart, not hard, her dad always said. If you can't do something the normal way, find a different way. Trish still had Max's leash wrapped around her hand. Max was still right beside her, worried, protective. Max, Trish said, we need to go that way. Can you help me? Max tilted his head, listening. Trish turned onto her stomach. Her leg screamed with pain, but she gritted her teeth. If she kept her bad leg straight and dragged it, maybe she could use her arms and her good leg to move forward. She started to crawl. It was slow. It hurt. Every movement sent pain through her leg. But she moved, inch by inch. Max walked beside her, staying close. Sometimes Trish would stop to rest, and Max would lick her face, whimpering. It's okay, boy. We're doing it. We're getting out. Trish thought about the camping trip. They'd gone to the Upper Peninsula, her whole family. One day, her older brother Daniel had wanted to take a shortcut back to the campsite. They'd gotten lost in the woods for 3 hours. Trish had been scared, but her dad had stayed calm. We're okay, he'd said. We have water. We have our phones. We're together. All we have to do is keep moving, and eventually we'll find the trail or a ranger or someone. They'd kept moving, slowly, carefully, and eventually they found a ranger station. The important thing, her dad had said afterward, is that we didn't give up. We could have sat down and waited for someone to find us. But we kept trying. We did what we could. Trish kept crawling. Her arms were getting tired. Her hands were scraped from the rough ground. Her leg was throbbing, but she was getting closer to the opening. 40 feet now. 30 feet. She stopped to rest. Checked her phone again. Still no signal. Max barked suddenly. Not at Trish, but at something else. He was looking behind them, back the way they'd come. Trish turned and saw why. The sun was setting. It was getting darker. Trish checked her watch. 5:30 p.m. She was supposed to have Max back by 5:15. Mrs. Kowalski would be worried. Her dad would be worried when Mrs. Kowalski called saying Trish hadn't come back. But they'd be looking on the streets, in the neighborhood. They wouldn't think to look down in the culvert. Unless someone had seen the car swerve, had seen them fall. But that car hadn't stopped. Had anyone else seen? Trish felt the panic trying to come back. It was getting dark. She was hurt. No one knew where she was. Stop, she told herself. Breathe. Count. She counted to 5, breathing. Did it 3 times. Then she kept crawling. 20 feet from the opening. 15 feet. Her arms were shaking now. She was so tired. The pain in her leg was making her feel sick. When things get hard, her dad had told her once, you can do more than you think you can. Your body will tell you to stop, but your mind can push through. The question is, how much does it matter? If it really matters, you keep going. This really mattered. Trish needed help. Needed someone to fix her leg. Needed to get Max home safe. She kept going. 10 feet. 5 feet. And then she was at the opening. It was a drainage outlet, leading to a larger creek. And beyond the creek, she could see houses. A neighborhood. Lights and windows. Trish pulled herself to the edge of the outlet. It was about a 3-foot drop to the creek bed below. The creek itself was shallow here, just a few inches of water. Could she get down? Could she crawl across the creek? Trish sat at the edge, figuring it out. If she scooted forward and lowered herself down, keeping her bad leg straight. She did it. Slow and careful, gritting her teeth against the pain. Max jumped down beside her, splashing in the shallow water. The creek bed was muddy but flatter than the culvert. Trish crawled forward, her hands sinking into the mud, the water soaking her jeans. Max stayed right with her, sometimes walking ahead, sometimes circling back, whimpering. Good boy, Max. You're such a good boy. Across the creek was a yard. A house with lights on. People. Trish crawled through the water, pulled herself up the bank on the other side, and collapsed on someone's lawn. She was shaking, exhausted. Her leg was on fire with pain. But she was in a yard, near a house. Help! Trish yelled as loud as she could. Someone help me. Max barked. Loud, urgent barking. A porch light came on. A door opened. A woman stepped out. What in the world? Oh my God. Are you okay? I fell. Trish managed to say. My leg is hurt. Can you call 911? And can you call my dad? She gave the woman her dad's number, which she had memorized because her dad made her memorize important numbers. Always know your address, your phone number, and emergency contacts by heart, he'd taught her. Phones die. Batteries run out. But your memory is always with you. The woman was already on her phone, calling 911, helping Trish, bringing out blankets. More lights came on. The woman's husband came out. They were talking to the 911 operator, giving the address, explaining what happened. And then Trish heard the most beautiful sound in the world. Her dad's voice. Trish? Trish, where are you? He'd called the woman's phone after she'd called him, was getting the address, was on his way. I'm here, Dad. I'm okay. Max saved me. Trish could hear him crying on the phone, which made her cry too. The ambulance is coming. I'm 5 minutes away. You did so good, Trish. You did everything right. The EMTs arrived first. Then her dad's car screeched to a stop and he was running across the yard, dropping to his knees beside her. Trish. Oh, Trish. He was checking her over, his hands shaking. What happened? Trish told him. About the car, about Max pulling her out of the way, about falling, about the broken leg, about the phone not working. So you crawled out, her dad said, his voice full of something Trish couldn't quite name. Pride, maybe. You couldn't walk, so you crawled. 50 feet through a culvert. Across a creek. You taught me, Trish said. You taught me to think smart, not hard. To keep trying. To do what I can control. Her dad pulled her close, careful of her leg. Yeah, I taught you. But you did it. That took courage, Trish. Real courage. The EMTs were working on her leg, stabilizing it, getting her ready to move. Mrs. Kowalski came running across the yard. Max. Oh, thank God. Trish, are you all right? When you didn't come back, I called your father, and we've been driving around looking. Max wagged his tail, still right beside Trish. Max saved me, Trish told Mrs. Kowalski. He pulled me out of the way of the car. And then he stayed with me the whole time. Mrs. Kowalski was crying now too, petting Max, thanking him. At the hospital, Trish's leg was x-rayed. Broken tibia, clean break. They put her in a cast, gave her pain medication, told her she'd need crutches for 6 weeks. Her whole family came to the hospital. Her mom, her brother Daniel, even her little sister Sophie, who was only 9. You're so brave, Sophie said, signing her cast with a purple marker. You're like a superhero. Trish didn't feel like a superhero. She felt tired and sore and glad to be safe. But later, when it was just her and her dad in the hospital room, waiting for the discharge papers, he said something that stayed with her. Trish, do you know what you did today? I got hurt. No. I mean, yes, you got hurt. But that's not what I mean. He took her hand. You were in an emergency situation. You were hurt. You were scared. You had no easy way to get help. And you didn't panic. Well, you did panic. But then you used the tools you have to calm down. You assessed the situation. You figured out what you could control. And you did what needed to be done. You taught me all that stuff. I taught you. But you applied it. In a real crisis. While injured. That's not something everyone can do. Trish. A lot of people would have frozen. Would have stayed at the bottom of that culvert waiting for someone to find them. But you saved yourself. Trish thought about that. I guess I did. You know what else you did? You kept Max safe. You stayed calm enough that he stayed calm. You took care of your responsibility even when you were hurt. That shows real character. Trish felt pride swelling in her chest. Real pride. And Trish, her dad's voice got serious. I need you to understand something. Having Down syndrome didn't stop you. It didn't make you less capable. You did exactly what anyone should do in that situation. Actually, you did better than a lot of people would have done. You were brave and smart and resourceful. That's who you are. Trish felt tears in her eyes again, but good tears this time. Some people think I can't do things because I have Down syndrome. I know they do. And those people are wrong. They see the Down syndrome before they see Trish. But I see Trish first. And Trish is capable of amazing things. The next day, Trish's story was in the local news. Local teen overcomes disability to save herself and dog. Trish didn't like that headline. It should say local teen saves herself and dog, she told her dad. The Down syndrome isn't the important part. Her dad smiled. You're absolutely right. Want to write a letter to the newspaper editor explaining that. So Trish did. She wrote about how she didn't overcome her disability to survive. She survived because her dad had taught her what to do in emergencies, and she'd listened and learned and applied those lessons when it mattered. The newspaper published her letter. And then something unexpected happened. Other parents of kids with Down syndrome started reaching out. They wanted to know what Trish's dad had taught her, how he'd prepared her to be independent, to handle emergencies, to be capable. Trish's dad ended up creating a workshop, Life Skills for Independence, teaching your child to problem solve. He taught other parents what he'd taught Trish, about breaking down big problems into small steps, about assessing situations, about controlling what you can control, about building confidence through real responsibility. And Trish helped teach too. She talked about walking dogs, about being responsible, about what to do when things go wrong. 6 weeks later, when Trish's cast came off, Mrs. Kowalski asked if she'd start walking Max again. Trish was nervous. She hadn't walked any dogs since the accident. Part of her was scared, but a bigger part of her knew what her dad would say. Being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you do it anyway. So Trish said yes. The first time she walked Max again, her dad came with her. They walked the same route, past the place where it had happened. Trish felt her chest get tight when they got close to the spot. You okay? Her dad asked. I'm scared. That's normal. That's your brain protecting you. But you're safe now. Max is safe. And you know what to do if something happens. Trish took a deep breath. Counted to 5. They kept walking. Max stayed right beside her, like always. Like he was protecting her. Like they were a team. And Trish realized something. She wasn't just the girl who walked dogs. She was the girl who'd crawled through a culvert with a broken leg to save herself. Who'd kept her head in a crisis. Who'd done what needed to be done. She was capable, strong, brave, not despite having Down syndrome. Just because of who she was. Trish Jones. Dog walker. Problem solver. Survivor. 6 regular clients. 6 dogs that depended on her. And now, one more thing she knew about herself. When things went wrong, she could handle it. Because her dad had taught her well. And she'd been brave enough to apply those lessons when it mattered most. That evening, Trish updated her notebook. Under Max's page, she added a new note. Best dog ever. Saved my life. Also very good listener and excellent at staying calm in emergencies. Then she added one more thing at the front of the notebook on the first page. Things I know. I am responsible. I am capable. I am brave. Having Down syndrome is part of who I am, but it's not all of who I am. I can do hard things. And when I can't do them the normal way, I find a different way. Because that's what Dad taught me. And that's who I am. Trish closed the notebook, put it in her backpack with her phone and her water bottle, and her dog waste bags. Tomorrow was Friday. She had 3 walks scheduled, and she was ready.